Generally speaking, you're free till you're about 4 years old. And then 5 arrives. Then you go to grammar school, and then you start becoming demented and solved and orientated and shoved into areas. You lose what individualism you have. If you have enough, of course, you retain some of it. But most don't have enough, so you become watchers of game shows, and things like that. And you work the 8-hour job with almost a feeling of goodness, like you're doing something. And you get married like marriage is a victory, and you have children like children is a victory. But most things most people do are a total grind: marriage, birth, children. It's something they have to do because there's nothing else to do. And the earth is full of them. You're doing some dumb thing over and over and over again. You get caught into the stricture of what you're supposed to be, and you have no other choice. You're finally molded and melded into what you're supposed to be. I didn't like this. And I didn't like the 8-hour job. I didn't even like the 4-hour job, even though I couldn't get one. So I decided I'd rather starve, live on the edges of nowhere, than do anything at all.
This is a Telarc digitally mastered recording. Not sure whether we'll have it on this side of the tape or the next side of the tape. The toccata in F, and finally 2 choral preludes.
Community Radio.
Hi, I'm Greg Ashley, and this is a Telarc recording, broadcasting to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Starting to get cool down here. It's fall. Freezing my ass off this morning. Alright, so we started off the show with the writer Charles Bukowski, talking a little bit about life. Real uplifting piece of tape there. Followed that with Ornette Coleman and his song Lonely Woman. That's off his album The Shape of Jazz to Come. It's one of my favorite jazz records, if not my favorite jazz record. Ornette primarily played a plastic saxophone. That's after his, I don't know what they make saxophones out of, but got broken or something. He switched to plastic. At first, he was looked down on in the LA scene. He was kicked out of jazz improv nights at jazz clubs and stuff. Pretty much an outcast with his plastic saxophone, the one on the cover of Shape Jazz Becomes White. And, one of the stories about Ornette and his bassist Charlie Hayden, the story goes that Charlie was, in on one of these jazz improv nights, some jazz club in LA, and ran him off, and Charlie ran down the street and kind of grabbed him and said, "Hey man, we should start a band, what you're doing is amazing, I'd love to play with you," and whatnot. And Charlie's an interesting character too, because he's a white dude from Iowa. Yeah, his family had a group called the Hayden family, who performed folk and country music on some radio station in Iowa where he was born. And he was like the Michael Jackson family. Hayden started singing on the radio with his family at the age of 2. He continued to sing with them until the age of 15, when unfortunately he contracted some sort of brainstem form of polio, which affected his throat and his facial muscles, and so he had to stop singing. So he picked up the bass, and he beat that polio somehow, but he couldn't sing. And he followed his dream, moved to California, become a jazz musician, met Ornette Coleman, and they did their thing, made some great records. The interesting thing about listening to some of Charlie's playing is on his bass solos, every once in a while he'll throw in like a little bit of kind of like little country licks and things, something you wouldn't quite expect from jazz, but it works with Ornette Coleman, because his stuff's so weird in the first place. Anyways, this week's theme, I'm going to try to play you guys kind of a mishmash of recordings made in unique environments, untraditional situations, the kind of recordings that have that certain kind of ingredient X, that special thing. So here goes. Here's Leonard Cohen with a song off an album almost entirely recorded in his friend's garage after he left the Zen Center in LA or whatever. Alright, here we go. 1,000 Kisses Deep.
The ponies run, the girls are young, the odds are there to beat. You win a while, and then it's done, your little winning streak. And summer now to deal with your invincible defeat. You live your life as if it's real. 1,000 kisses deep. I'm turning tricks, I'm getting fixed, I'm back on Boogie Street. You lose your grip, and then you slip into the masterpiece. risk it all to stay alive. 1,000 kisses deep. And sometimes when the night is slow, the wretched and the meek, we gather up our hearts and go. 1,000 kisses deep, confined to sex, we pressed against the limits of the sea. I saw there were no oceans left for scavengers like me. I made it to the forward deck. I blessed our remnant fleet, and then consented to be wrecked. 1,000 kisses deep. I'm turning tricks, I'm getting fixed, I'm back on Boogie Street. I guess they won't exchange the gifts that you were meant to keep. And quiet is the thought of you, the file on you complete, except what we forgot to do. 1,000 kisses deep. And sometimes when the night is slow, the wretched and the meek, we gather up our hearts and go. 1,000 kisses deep. The ponies run, the girls are young, the odds are there to beat. You win a while, and then it's done, your little winning streak. And summer now to deal with your invincible defeat. You live your life as if it's real. 1,000 kisses deep.
If you're wondering why I've been drinking, well, baby, I'll tell you why. I felt my foundation sinking. I felt myself change inside. So my whole got turned around, sunk deeper than I knew I could. Till my past was fiction, my fiction looked no good. With a feeling like that, yeah, I had to get loose. I had to get loose. With a feeling like that, yeah, I had to get loose. I had to get loose. And if there's consolation buried deep within a song, I don't think I've found it. In fact, I think it's gone. With a feeling like that, yeah, I had to get loose. I had to get loose. With a feeling like that, yeah, I had to get loose. I had to get loose.
Mari es mi amor, solo con ella vivo la felicidad. Yo sé que nunca nadie más podría amar, porque la quiero de verdad. Por eso, Mari, por favor, Dame tu mano y continuemos siempre así. Después de todo, ¿qué más te puedo pedir? Si soy feliz, muy feliz. Si un día me faltas tú, que Dios me ayude a morir, ya que no volveré a ser en esta vida feliz. Sin ti, Mari, sin ti, Mari, si estoy viviendo por ti. Mari es mi amor, solo con ella vivo la felicidad. Yo sé que nunca nadie más podría amar, porque la quiero de verdad. Si un día me faltas tú, que Dios me ayude a morir, ya que no volveré a ser en esta vida feliz. Sin ti, Mari, sin ti, Mari, si estoy viviendo por ti.
Hi, I'm Greg Ashley, and this is the Telarc recording. I'm broadcasting to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Alright, so we started off that last set with Leonard Cohen, of course, doing 1,000 Kisses Deep off of his 2001 album, 10 New Songs. This album was produced by singer and musician Sharon Robinson. They had been collaborators in the past, and they recorded the whole album digitally in her garage, and I think they did some of the vocals in his garage. They had home studios set up. Other than some string arrangements on 1,000 Kisses Deep and a guitar track on something else, the two of them did all the singing and playing on synthesizers and whatever. And she co-wrote most of the music. And after that was the great Exotica vibraphone player Arthur Lyman with his tune Tropical. If you like the sound of that one, there's three Exotica guys to look for in your dollar bins or your record stores or whatnot. There's Arthur Lyman. There is Martin Denny, who is somewhat of his mentor, maybe some people would say. And then there's this other guy, Milt Raskin. And their records are easy to spot. They usually have a pretty Polynesian girl on the cover on the beach or something. And yeah, they're usually $1 and they're always worth it. One of the things for me that is really interesting about Arthur Lyman's records is how they were recorded. Arthur did 30 LPs and 400 or so singles in his lifetime, and almost all of them were recorded in this aluminum geodesic dome in Hawaii, built by Henry J. Kaiser, who was an American industrialist, and lived in California as long as I had. He's the name on all the Henry J. Kaiser health centers, all that stuff. He built ships during the Second World War, was involved with building Hoover Dam even. This is Henry J. Kaiser, not a line we're talking about. He also owned Kaiser Aluminum and Steel, hence the building of the dome out of aluminum. This is how this dome was built. The aluminum triangles that the dome was constructed from were manufactured out in Oakland, California, and then they shipped those aluminum triangles to be assembled to Hawaii. The triangles were bolted together around a central mast, which was raised after each level of aluminum triangles was set and bolted in place. And then they'd raise the mast and build another row until the building was erected or whatever. So they kind of, they had this pole and they just did this circle of things, raised it up one notch, and kept getting bigger, and then that was the end of it. It only took the workers 22 hours to build the thing, I guess, because it was kind of a prefab. It was 140 feet wide, and if my geometry is correct, which I'm sure it's not, I'm guessing it was about 75 feet tall. And the records by Arthur Lyman in this space are just beautiful. The room had a natural 3-second reverb. The tunes were recorded on a one-of-a-kind 3-track half-inch tape machine that was specifically made for Lyman. All of his recordings were made live in the dome. And one of the most interesting and sonically pleasing aspects of these recordings, is, to me at least, is Arthur Lyman's bird calls. Him and his band would yelp out during these recordings, which some of the other exotic guys kind of picked up on. They would add it in those later. But Lyman said that he was, he's playing at the bar one night, and he was drunk, and he just started making these tropical bird sounds while he was playing his vibes. And before you knew it, the whole audience just started making bird calls back at him. It just became, part of his style. And of course, I played you guys a tune that has none of those bird calls, so maybe another week. Sorry about that. That was stupid. So other interesting thing about Lyman recording in this geodesic dome is Lyman and his band, they couldn't use the dome during the day to record because of like street noise, construction, and just general background noise. They knew when to stop every morning when the trash pickup started to come on the street, and then they cut off the recording. The sun came up, and I guess they slept all day, to party all night. So most nights after performing late at night, when the bar shut down, Arthur and his band, they recorded till the sun came up. So all the recordings were recorded in the middle of the night. I'm going to include a bunch of pictures of the Kaiser Dome on my YouTube channel, because it's just a beautiful thing. And if you get any of Arthur's records, the back of every one of them has a picture of this dome and a description of all the whatever great musical acoustical things that this place did, and you can hear them. They sound great. And one thing that's really cool about it is that you can hear Lyman and his group moving around the dome while they're performing. They're not in static positions. All the recordings, they're done with three tracks done live. So that's 3 mics set around this big dome or whatever. So you got one in the middle, one in the left, say one in the right, and you can hear, especially the percussionists, walk around the room, and you can hear like the shakers and the whatever, like percussion instruments moving, especially on headphones, from left to right in your ears and stuff. And it's kind of like, it's like you're in the room with them. It's an otherworldly experience. It's really cool. And these multi-track recordings are different from a lot of ones, because most multi-track recordings, you mic all the instruments extremely close to the instruments so that you can manipulate how much volume you want on each instrument. You don't want the bleed from like the drums getting on the acoustic guitar or the piano or something like that. So that you heavily isolate those things so you can manipulate them in the mix later. Perfect example of this, especially with stereo records, is if you listen to Doors records. The Doors, they were recording on 4 tracks originally, the first few albums. And if you listen to them, they're totally separated. They put the vocal dead center with the bass, then they stick the drums on the left and the organ on the left and the guitar on the right. And sometimes they swap the organ and the guitar depending on if which one's doing the solo. And I mean, they're perfect records. They sound amazing, at least to me. But it's cool to hear the room on some. And with stereo records, it can be done totally wrong. Like those Beatles stereo albums. Those are horrible. It's like they put all the music in one channel and all the vocals in the other channel. Apparently, that was kind of like the advent of karaoke, is that somebody could just like pan everything to one side and then they could sing over the music. Yeah, that's probably not something you should do with Beatles records, since they can sing extremely well, and most people at karaoke are not up to singing the Beatles songs. Those are tough ones. Yeah, Arthur Lyman's recordings are a true representation of recordings where you can hear the acoustics of the room, you can hear the environment. It's like you're just right there, and it's beautiful. And sad ending of the story. The Geodesic Dome was torn down in 1999. And what can I say? But then again, Arthur Lyman did say later in an interview that he disliked recording in the Geodesic Dome because of all the reverb. So different strokes for different folks. After that, then we had my good buddy and genius songwriter Nick Russo, stage name Dick Stuso, doing his song Getting Loose. That was off his second album, In Heaven. We recorded that in the church I was using as the Creamery studio from 2016 to 2019. Great record. It was a lot of fun doing it. One of my favorite projects that I got to work on. And yes, just check it out. It's Dick Stuso in Heaven. Go buy it. Get it on the internet, whatever you do. Yeah, and if you get the LP, the back of the record cover is a picture of me and Nick passed out drunk on the floor of the church. Apparently done with our session for the day. Beer cans strewn around us. Good times. And then we ended off the set with Leo Dan from Argentina doing Mary Asked Me More. If you can find his stuff, buy it. He's a big star in Mexico and Argentina, and he deserves every bit of it. Dude's still alive. You could probably find it on Spotify or something. But it's such good music. This one's from Switzerland.
Too dirty, you had to leave me alone. I want a let hit the road and come back.
I love it.
Hi, I'm Greg Ashley, and this is a Telarc recording. I'm broadcasting you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That last set started off with Grazone doing their 1981 tune called Eyes Bear, which translates to Polar Bear, if I pronounced that wrong. They're from Bern, Switzerland, and I have no idea how they recorded this, but sounds good to me. Then we got the Dutch group Digital Emotion doing their 1984 tune, Beauty and the Beast. And we ended that set with Das Ding, also from the Netherlands. Das Ding is the brainchild of musician Danny Boston. This track, Raid, was recorded in his bedroom in the early 80s and self-released on his tape label, Tear Apart Tapes. It's a good one. Alright, next up, some Thai Pop Spectacular.
was her, but she carried the grace in the hands you saw, and the only respect that they could pay was a photo from the mall. You had the cruelest drooling at your feet, but the pain made you the slave. They thought they'd create the greatest stuff, but all they made was your grave. Who cares about the wounds that you cut? Look, cravings for news made them blind. And every corner you took, they'd be waiting in their droves for Marilyn merchandise. Who cares about Marilyn Monroe? That's not who they saw. They just saw the Barbie doll with feelings best ignored. Who cares about Marilyn Monroe? For years now she's been gone. We destroyed the Barbie doll, but we can't carry on. A salesman scheme, a tragic reality. Security was a dream. Cause everyone that you turned to didn't want them with you. They only wanted what they saw on the screen. Can't imagine the crying despair when there was no one there when you drew your final straw. Hollywood wrote the tragedy, what they market as encore. Broken hearts were everywhere when you took your final course. But the saddest thing about a shattered dream was that the biggest broken heart was yours. Who cares about Marilyn Monroe? That's not who they saw. They just saw the Barbie doll with feelings best ignored. Who cares about Marilyn Monroe?
Hi, I'm Greg Ashley, and this is a Telarc recording, broadcasting to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Okay, so we started off our last set here with, Shalarpan Malakam and his song Pling Show. I found this on a compilation called Thai Pop Spectacular 1960 to 1980, which is why I also cannot pronounce those names. But it's great stuff. Who knows how they recorded it, but it sounds good to me. After that, we had Board Games from New Zealand and their 1982 song Happy Endings. And we ended that set with Sonic Youth, one of the bands I grew up on, with their song Kill Your Idols off the EP of the same name from, I think, 1977. It's not 77, somewhere around there. It's good advice. You should never meet your idols. And here's the end of this week's program. And I'm going to end it with the Dills from San Francisco with their 1977 tune, Classwork.
Go to Tibet, ride a camel, read the Bible, dye your shoes blue, grow a beard, circle the world in a paper canoe, subscribe to the Saturday Evening Post, chew on the left side of your mouth only, marry a woman with one leg and shave with a straight razor, and carve your name in her arm. Brush your teeth with gasoline, sleep all day and climb trees at night. Be a monk and drink buckshot and beer. Hold your head underwater and play the violin. Do a belly dance before pink candles. Kill your dog, run for mayor, live in a barrel, break your head with a hatchet, plant tulips in the rain. But don't write poetry.